bright feather tattoos can never cover those deep dark bruises. I wear my scars like the sky wears her stars. Our getaway car got as far as Las Cruces, where the diesel...
Jo Carroll Pierce is the kind of songwriter who makes other songwriters sit up straight in their chairs and take notice. Then they go home and make music for hours. She might be the only songwriter whose work inspired a whole cover album by multiple artists and bands before she could record one of her own. Wildly unorthodox and ahead of her time, Jo Carroll burst onto the Austin music scene in 1993. Decades later, new artists keep rediscovering this Texas treasure to find new inspiration in her bold work.
If we tell the truth, can't the blame be laid with the creator who made this world?
When I was a kid too, we lived 2 streets away from the train tracks, and so I'd hear it every night, and I had these visions of just like grabbing onto it and then just like letting it take me away.
Well, Jo Carroll did it.
She actually did it. Yeah, she would actually do it.
Yeah. So the train story. So one time when I was about 8 or 9 years old, Mom and I were driving and we get to this train crossing. So we had to stop the car and the train was like, it looked like maybe it was going west. And I was like thinking about, oh, wouldn't it be cool to go where that train is going? Because I always wanted to go to California. And something prompted her to tell me the story about how her friend Jo Carroll, when she was a teenager, had just been riding on her bike and a train came along and there were some freight cars, and she jumped off her bike and just got on the train and followed it out to the coast. And I said, that is the coolest thing I've ever heard of in my life. And of course, my mom, this idea did not appeal to her at all. And she was just horrified, and she had to correct the seed she had planted in her little daughter. You know, I don't know what I was thinking, probably some kind of silliness about what life would be like on a train, but my mom just started walking it back immediately. She was like, can you imagine being on a train where anything could happen? I'm like, yes, anything could happen on a train. And she's like, no. She was saying, you couldn't take a shower. And of course, my mother loves taking showers. And I did not like taking showers at that age. But I was, the more she talked, the more I was like, this is great. And she was like, no, it's dangerous. People could hurt you. And that finally got to me. I was like, oh, okay, people could hurt me. Maybe I shouldn't jump on a train. Man, it would be kind of cool to jump on a train and head west.
Like many folks who have been touched by your writing, I felt like I was listening to someone who lived a life with so many parallels to my own. Instead of secret Dans, my sister and I had side salads. And we would sneak out of my parents' suburban house in spring, where for some reason they decided to raise us, in the middle of the night to pretend we lived an adult life in a world of strangers who we thought understood more about our own existence than we did.
Bad Girls Upset by the Truth has been performed by 3 different women on 3 different continents in 3 different decades.
Secret Dan, behind smoke glass, that boy's trying to keep his future a secret from his past. Secret Dan, burning gas, he slows down and you look real fast.
Lauren Knuckle was introduced to Bad Girls when her partner, a fact checker at Texas Monthly, brought home a video recording of the original 90s production. They both eventually recognized it as a show that Lauren had to do, and with Jo Carroll's blessing, she brought it out into the world. Lauren is as evangelistic about the show as she has been adventurous in her life, performing Bad Girls first in New Zealand in 2019, while simultaneously getting a PhD in anatomy. She then brought Bad Girls to Edinburgh's famous Fringe Festival, then finally back to Austin, where it all started.
musicians, there's always something new on the horizon, and you always think that's going to change my life. It's going to be able to live and support myself, etc. And it doesn't. They don't happen. And so it was just like another idea somebody had, and people were having a lot of ideas about. There were some people not real big good ideas like this one, but the people had a lot of ideas. Oh, look, we'll do this. We'll get these people together, and so I was really busy, and I was working 2 jobs. I was working at the Hotline. I think I had just gotten that job, and then I was also teaching parallel English at the community college, and I had. I just had a grandbaby, and I had just gotten together with Juke. So I didn't have any time to really get excited about this. And so they had recorded a lot of the record before I even took it seriously at all. But they just went ahead in a very businesslike way, found a record company that was willing to sponsor it, and got it off the road, and then I got it on the road. Then I was coming home from a deep night shift at the Hotline, and I had to pull off the road because I heard one of my songs on the radio. It was just mind-blowing, and I just had to pull off and cry lots of hot tears in the very early morning hours.
Singing of songs, and I was just blown away, and just had to ask all my awesome friends, who the hell is this lady? She's amazing. I've never seen anything like her before.
I love Across the Great Divide, and I loved Loose Diamonds. Yeah.
I have to confess to it. I think the main inspiration for wanting to put this together was an excuse so I could perform Loose Diamonds.
While making this video, I noticed the song Loose Diamonds standing out as a particular fan favorite. A band from Ohio renamed themselves after this song. To me, what is particularly striking about Loose Diamond is the incredible empathy Jo Carroll displays in writing, not from her own point of view, but from the perspective of someone she accidentally harmed. When she unintentionally breaks his heart, he tries to get over her by walking all the way to Alaska. It's a song about an unusual person making a very strange choice, but for so many people, when they hear the song, they feel it relates directly to them. I think she captures the enormity of true heartache and that feeling that you have to do something monumental and identity-changing. Everybody feels that way. Hardly anyone walks to Alaska. When you listen to Jo Carroll's music, she has a way of bringing you into her wildly original way of thinking and making it feel like your own.
You were like broken glass embedded in skin, and I walked to Alaska and back to begin to forget you, but I can't forget what it was like when
So they had a whole mini concert in the middle with a lot of the people who played on that album playing, as well as Jo Carroll herself, singing of songs, and I was just blown away, and just had to ask all my awesome friends, who the hell is this lady? She's amazing. I've never seen anything like her before. And at the time I was in my 20s, and I think she may have been in her late 30s or early 40s, so she also seemed impossibly old to be doing that kind of thing. Of course, I'm 55 now, so that's a regrettable emotion. Had a little fanboy crush on her, and couldn't bring myself to introduce myself. I still have a fanboy crush on her, but the other follow-up to that is I did the first thing I did when I came home is I ordered a copy of Across the Great Divide.
It's not fair that people don't know about Jo Carroll and don't know her work, and I think that we're just all doing our little part to make sure that more people know who she is and hear her writing and her poetry. I think it really is, she was just so far ahead of her time.
And the next evening I was lying out in the road like I always did when I was grounded, pondering the deep trouble I was in, all of which stemmed from the fact that ever what Jesus told me to do contradicted what he told my mama. Joe Carroll, you better get up out of that road. A truck will come along, squish you flat. I'm thinking, Mama, when they come and get me and carry me back to the state mental asylum, you can say, I did this to Dixie, I did this to her. My mama, who has picnics at the cemetery, well, that's where the trees are, and who has given me so much bogus advice all my life that if I had taken it, I would deserve to be locked up in the squirrel cage with her. Like the time in the 5th grade when they showed us the sex education film and sent me home with the brochure, and Mama went through it with me and she asked me if I had any questions and I didn't, and then she said, are you sure? Well, I do have one. What are we supposed to do with all those eggs after we lay them? Color them, decorate them, and hide them in the yard.
Adam Goodwin on drums. He's also really good at, he would count things off, H-E-B, H-E-B, which was fun.
Yeah, he and the accordion player, they're both very tall, and they played the women in the hot tub with Joe Carroll when she has the meltdown. And so the
accordion
player in particular was very tall and involved, and they were just... we asked anybody do anything that they said no to.
Yeah, they put the twisty turbans on their head and like totally got into it. They were all like absolutely game to do whatever we asked. Right, I mean, yeah, they just they were the backing band and they were the supporting cast. I could rely on them to do absolutely anything, no matter how twisted and weird that we asked them to.
You know, a lot of my songs are like breakup love songs because, you know, in my particular pattern of destruction, I was uncomfortable not being in a relationship, and so I would get in a relationship and then I was miserable inside a relationship and would get out of it. So I was just doing that back and forth. And
the tango.
Yeah, the borderline tango. When I would get to them, and they're love songs that are from the other side of being close to somebody, where you can see their goodness and why you love them, untainted by a relationship or the demands of a relationship and everything. And then I could always see them so clearly and would want to tell them with love what I saw. You know, that was when I could love people. It was kind of like Frankie and Johnny and Claire de Lune. Definition of love is when somebody's gone, you really, really miss them. And I was operating with that definition of love, you know. And so when I'm...
Sounds like your dad, too.
Yeah. Yes. And I guess, missing him and wanting to tell him stuff, it was always a very receptive audience as when I was a child, and very tickled with me the way that I had the luxury of being with my grandchildren.
I can't blame you for leaving me, especially since I drove you to what I do.
Yes. At one time, a work friend and me were sent by our work to Lubbock, and she was from New York City, and she had never been to the desert or West Texas. One thing she noticed, which was delightful, as we were driving around, and she hated the fact that it was so rank and so flat and so featureless. But she said the good part of it was the first time she had ever seen a whole train. And didn't matter that the train wasn't moving. The train was on the track. It was very long and curved around, and you could see every bit of it. Anyway, trains are sacred.
Caballero, your bright feather tattoo.
Caballero, your bright feathered tattoos can never cover those deep dark bruises. I wear my scars like the sky wears her stars. Our getaway car got as far as Las Cruces, where the diesel guitars from faraway bars blast out the best songs from our holy wars. Coyote Carnival catches on fire. All the cops in the world pick us up on radar. Caballero, you know how to do that borderline tango. The rush of the wind through the engine, the way you can take everything I can send you. You tried to kill me, but you didn't mean to. Just another turn to that borderline tango. Vaya con Dios, caballero. For a cowboy like you, it's the only way through. These coyotes know I'm a cowboy too, so their odds are all even on our next rendezvous. So go back to LA, I'll go back to my cave. Let these coyote witnesses try to explain how your wings beat against my window pane, till these stone cold ashes burst into flame. Caballero, we showed 'em a turn or two, that borderline tango. The rush of the wind through the engine, the way you can take everything I can send you. You tried to kill me, but you didn't mean to. It was just another turn, that borderline tango.
There is an island in the Caribbean where I go for treatment to remove you from me. There is no doctor, just wind in the shadows, and room to pull the rhythm from the bones. When the moon rises, you become the silver pocket of the night. When the moon rises, you become the silver pocket of the night.
Yesterday, I found out that Joe Carroll passed on. I've been working on this thing that I'm calling a love note to Joe Carroll. She's seen most of it in bits and pieces, and I'm really glad that I've been sharing it with her. I'm glad and grateful that it worked out that way, because it's almost finished, for lack of a better word. And I'm so grateful that she put her thoughts out into the world. It is impossible to register her absence. So I'm going to keep her with me as a patron saint. I think she might like that. She could be the patron saint of bad girls, of non-Catholics who love the Blessed Virgin Mary, and the Blessed Virgin Mary Magdalene, as she used to say. To me, she is the patron saint of people who have something to say but keep throwing their words into the trash can. Jo Carroll could be that force ghost over your shoulder who tells you to get those words out of the trash and put them into the world where they can wreak some havoc or do some good. Take your pick, I guess. Jo Carroll Pierce was a wonderful artist, so unusual, funny, and interesting, and fiercely loving. She talked about the span of human experience, and she represented to me how love and adventure could really go together in a way that I think most of the world doesn't recognize. You have to choose one or the other, love or adventure. But with Jo Carroll, it was both. It was both, and it was beautiful.
Trains. I don't know if you know, but one of my favorite activities of my life was when my sister and I rode the freight trains with Jesse Guitar Taylor. Jesse Hercules Taylor. And he was 19, I was 26. And we rode the freight. We didn't have money for a vacation, so we just rode the freight train from Berkeley to Tijuana and back. And it was amazing. Anyway, that's my whole story for this time of a whole train. And more on trains. I love you, you little darling.
Secret Dan, behind the small glass, trying to keep his future from his past. Secret Dan is burning gas. If he slows down and you look real fast, see him flying through roadblocks like they ain't real. I wonder if it's you I want or that automobile. Secret Dan, Secret Dan, got a two-tone flesh-colored Cadillac.
My dance hall fairy godmother